Cuffs and kisses, cross lines. The days that followed were a blur of confusion, tension, and anticipation. Ryan found himself increasingly distracted, caught between his duty as a cop and the relentless pull toward Jax. The more he tried to ignore it, the more he felt like he was walking a tightrope, one step away from falling headfirst into a world he wasn't sure to get out of. It wasn't like he didn't have a good reason to pull away. Jax was a criminal, a thief, a con artist, and God knows what else. Everything about him screamed danger in a way that made Ryan's instincts scream in protest. But then there was that smile, that undeniable chemistry between them. And damn it, Jax made him feel something real. Something that made him question whether or not he was living his life the way he was meant to. But then the phone buzzed again. It had been 2 days since Ryan had sent a message to Jax. And now the phone was lighting up with another text. He couldn't help it. His thumb slid across the screen. "I'm bored. You should come make things interesting. I'll be waiting. X." That was it. The simple, nonchalant message that seemed to carry so much weight. It wasn't a request. It wasn't even an invitation. It was a challenge. One Ryan couldn't back down from. Against every rational instinct in his body, Ryan stood up from the couch, grabbed his jacket, and headed out. He tried to remind himself that this was just one more step into a mess he didn't need. But as soon as he reached his car, there was no turning back. As he drove through the quiet streets of the city, his thoughts raced. He wasn't even sure what he was going to do when he saw Jax again. Would he arrest him? Would he try to talk some sense into him? Or, God help him, would he end up kissing him again? He pulled up to a familiar, run-down apartment building, where Jax had been holed up for the last few weeks. The place was a far cry from anything that screamed safe or sophisticated. But Ryan had stopped caring about things like that a long time ago. As he got out of the car, the hairs on the back of his neck stood on end. This was it. This was the moment that would either make or break everything. Ryan made his way up the stairs, his boots echoing in the empty hall. At the top of the stairs, he knocked on the door. 3 quick taps. Just like before, the door creaked open, and there stood Jax, looking as laid back as ever in a black t-shirt and jeans, his hair slightly messy like he'd just rolled out of bed. His eyes lit up when he saw Ryan, the corners of his lips pulling up into that familiar, mischievous grin. Well, look who decided to show up," Jax said, stepping aside and gesturing for Ryan to come in. "I was starting to think you'd forgotten about me." Ryan hesitated for a second before stepping inside, the door shutting behind him with a soft thud. He couldn't help but feel a little on edge, the silence between them growing thicker by the second. "You sure about this?" Ryan asked, his voice rough. He wasn't sure if he was talking to Jax or to himself. "I'm not just some fling for you, Jax." Jax leaned against the kitchen counter, crossing his arms. "Oh, don't worry, Mikhail. I don't do flings. I do complicated." Ryan felt the words hit him like a punch in the gut. "Complicated?" he repeated, his voice barely above a whisper. Jax pushed off the counter and closed the gap between them, the space between them narrowing with each step. "Yeah, you and me. Complicated. That's what makes it fun." Ryan wanted to back away, to tell Jax he was crazy for even thinking this was a good idea. But instead, he stood there, rooted to the spot, feeling like he was being drawn in. He didn't know what he was doing, but it felt like he was about to make a decision that would change everything. "You want to talk about complications, Jax?" Ryan's voice cracked with a mix of frustration and something else he couldn't quite name. "You're the complication. And I'm a cop. I'm supposed to be the one locking you up. Not," he trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. Jax's expression softened for a split second before he gave a small, knowing smile. "You can't lock me up, Mikhail. Not unless you want to be locked up with me." Ryan felt his pulse spike at the implication. His mind screamed no, but his body wasn't listening. "Shut up," Ryan muttered under his breath. But before he could stop himself, he reached out, grabbing Jax by the collar and pulling him into a kiss. This time, it was different. There was no hesitation, no confusion, no second-guessing. This kiss was reckless and raw, fueled by 1,000 questions and 1,000 things left unsaid. It was a kiss that tore through Ryan's walls like they were made of paper. Jax's hand slid around his waist, pulling him even closer, and Ryan couldn't stop himself from responding, kissing him back with the same urgency, the same need. But then reality struck. Ryan pulled away, panting, his chest heaving. "What are we doing?" he asked, his voice barely more than a whisper. Jax gave him a look that was somehow both playful and serious. "We're doing whatever the hell we want. You've been dying to figure it out, and I'm not going to let you back out now." Ryan stared at him, his heart pounding in his chest. Jax was right. He had been dying to figure it out. But that didn't mean he was ready for the consequences of what he was about to do. He stepped back, running a hand through his hair. "I need to think. This is crazy." Jax didn't argue. He didn't try to stop him. Instead, he gave a small, knowing nod. "You'll be back," Jax said, his voice soft. "You always are." Ryan turned to leave, but before he reached the door, he looked back one last time. "Yeah," Ryan said, his heart beating too fast. "Maybe I will." To be continued. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Cuffs and Kisses. We hope you enjoyed the ride. Be sure to tune in tomorrow as the story continues. Trust us, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, so you're the first to know when the next episode drops. See you soon on Petals and Pride, where every moment blooms with excitement.